So, probably about a few minutes ago, I came across a very, very interesting topic of conversation. And I kind of want to share it with you guys today and just give my own thoughts as to an inclination as to why a lot of us are choosing to date women abroad. All right. You know who it is, Doc. Like, sub, subscribe, comment section below for the good stuff. I've learned that a lot of my fellow brethren who choose to travel, who can see different parts of the world, go overseas and live their best life, a lot of them are pretty stable. For the most part, in the general sense, a lot of my gentlemen are pretty stable. They kind of got their shit together, finances, things like that, that are allowing them to be able to see different parts of the world or at least have differing experiences than gentlemen in their own hometowns and cities. So I realized stable men were boring. Now, that doesn't mean that if you're a stable guy that you're not into having fun, that you don't really like going out and stuff like that. But when you're stable, your mindset is totally different than what your average woman probably in the Western world is looking for. All right? I want to talk about myself real quick, if you will allow me. Although this is the Dr. Mike TV channel, I should be allowed to talk about myself. But I want to talk about myself real quick. I moved overseas to the Philippines when I was 18 years of age. I graduated with a bachelor's degree in marketing management. I followed that up with my MBA, my master's degree in business administration. And then immediately after that, that was where I was able to attain my doctorate degree in business administration. So I would have to say a solid 10 years. That was where my focus was. I wasn't necessarily into going out and partying with my friends or doing this, that, and the other. And I realized my focus would probably put me in the category of boring. Wherein a lot of my friends who live the college life in the United States, man, they're out partying, probably getting shit-faced drunk, hooking up with random chicks and shit. Complete opposite, man. Just let me get my work done and we'll see what we can do later on in life. I realize now that that made me boring. Having stability, focus, goals, that shit kind of made me boring because I was stable. All right? And I realized that a lot of men in the United States who choose to date in the US, the ones that get some of the baddest bitches, for lack of a better term, ain't really stable, right? They want to go out, they want to have fun. For the gentlemen who represent my own community background, your drug dealers and shit, your aspiring rappers and shit, they're the fun guys, right? They're the ones that are all about having a good time. They're all about showing their ass and, showing everybody why they're the alphas or whatever it is that they're involved in. They're out there in them streets. They're out there getting it in. They're out there in the forefront where everybody can see them. I'm not that guy. I'm not that dude. I don't need to be seen. I am perfectly okay in the cut chilling. Just let you do you, man. I'm just observing, right? I love to see how people act and how they react to certain things. And you realize, coming up in the community that I grew up in, those are the guys who get the girls, man. When it was high school, it was the athletes, the cool kids, the rappers and shit, And if you was involved in a little bit of extracurricular activity that may not be of the legal sense, you probably got some looks too, because you were the ones with the money. You were the flashy ones. You were the ones that people saw, and as a result, girls paid attention to. Sometimes I'm just not on people's radar. And I believe that because gentlemen such as myself are trying to look forward to our futures and trying to get our shit together, because we're trying to be stable, we're not necessarily what a lot of these women in the West are looking for. until they're 30. Oh, until they're 35. Oh, until they're in their 40s and shit, and they're about to hit the fucking wall, and now they need somebody to settle down with. Not to mention that while you was in your 20s, killing it, having all that fun and shit, having babies, probably getting ran through by a whole bunch of motherfuckers and shit, I'm over here trying to work to live my best life. Doc has no kids. They will come if they come. All right? Doesn't mean that I had to sacrifice getting hold on, let me back up real quick because I need to get the transition right. Pardon me. But like I said, guys, in the West, man, we're not necessarily the types of guys that a lot of women in the West are looking for if you're all about your studies, all about your education, all about focusing on your future. In the 20s, it's all about having fun and fucking off and getting it in. But let me transition what my life was like in the Philippines. I was still able to do everything that I needed to do and still talk to girls because in the Philippines, their mindset is very different. I've learned this, especially in college. Even if I just focus on college females in general, their way of thinking is completely different. College women in the United States or in the Western world, let's have fun, let's have party, let's make these 4 years, if you even make it the full 4 years, the best 4 years of your life. You want to be able to look back and say, yo, we did it. We had fun. May not graduate it, but we had fun. Right? Women in the Philippines. Top degrees in the Philippines are all medical. Why? They trying to get the fuck out the Philippines, man. There's a phrase or an acronym called OFWs, Overseas Filipino Workers, i.e. people who are Filipino that work in other countries. Whether it be somewhere in the Middle East, whether they make it to the United States, whether they make it to Canada, whether they make it to any other part of the world, wherever it is that they're getting their jobs in, they're looking for jobs and they're getting degrees where their jobs can translate to any part of the world that they choose to work in. Number one degree in the Philippines, nursing. Number one degree in the Philippines, nursing. And then you have medical technology, med tech, respiratory therapist, pharmacy, and things like that. Anything in the medical field, golden opportunity for Filipinos to get out the country. So when you're dealing with women in the Philippines as opposed to women in the United States, you start to realize their focus is creating a better life for themselves, even in their freshman years. I don't know what it is about the Asian mentality, man, but you'll notice that amongst a bunch of Asian countries and cultures, man, they're all about getting their shit together because they were raised probably a little bit different than my young ladies in the West. So for me to find myself compatible with a young lady who has a good head on her shoulders, who has the exact same focus as me, very easy. And they're looking for stable men. Do you ever wonder why Filipinas and women in Asian countries choose to date older men? And you'll hear them say it if you ever ask them. Stability ranks at the top 1 or 2. Stability based on finances, stability based on security purposes. They choose to date older men specifically for the security and stability aspect. And we're talking about women in their teenage years, right? They're 18, 19-year-olds and shit, even on the cusp of 20, 21, 22, 23, 25. Now, if they hit 30 and stuff, you start to realize that that's when the mentality of women start to actually coincide or start to connect, you know, that being the West and that being the East. 30, 35, if you ain't married with no kids, now you're trying to settle down. But it doesn't mean that a woman in the Philippines wasn't trying to settle down before. Maybe it just didn't work out. As opposed to it didn't work out over here because you gave up the best years of your life trying to party and live it up. So when I say that stability is boring, I recognize that. I recognize that my life today isn't grandiose, right? Look, man, I like dealing in cryptocurrencies. I like the stock market. I like having these conversations with my girl. Me and my girl have these conversations at just in fun, right? And it starts to make me realize I found somebody compatible for me. Even though we met a long time ago back in college, I found somebody who was compatible with me because she wants to learn the shit the same way as us because we're both focused on creating the best future for ourselves. And this was even at a young age. So being a stable, boring man in the Philippines, in my personal opinion, that shit is ideal, right? Now, that doesn't mean that you can't have fun. Maybe every now and again go to a bar, grab a drink, hang out with your friends. Stability doesn't mean that you completely cut everybody out or that you don't have a life. Stability means that your focus is more or less on how can I prepare and put myself in the best situation in the next 10 years, as opposed to just living it up and fucking it up right now, right? Because there's a lot of guys with the mentality in the United States, man, I don't know where I'm going to be at tomorrow, so I might as well live it up today, right? And don't get me wrong, I hate saying this phrase, but just let me get it out the way. People live by the YOLO mentality, though. You only live once mentality. Yeah, okay, that sounds great, but can you still be living that same mentality 10 years down the line? Is that shit still feasible to live that mentality 10 years down the line? That's what I'm asking. Do you believe that's still a feasible way of thinking? You only live once, man. Fuck it. The money, can't take it with me, dog. Yeah. But you know why they had that mentality? That usually comes from people who don't really have a foresight towards the future, and they're probably involved in some things that could either get them locked up or killed. But that usually comes from the people where that particular mentality is manifested. And guess what? Just in case you didn't know, those are the ones that the women in the United States and women in the West choose to go for. Just in case you didn't know. Just want to throw that in there. Right? So when you look at me, I'm a boring dude, man. YouTube is fun for me. YouTube is therapeutic for me. YouTube to me is like a one-on-one sport, man. If I'm not going live and I'm sitting here having a conversation with myself in front of the camera as I'm looking at it right now, eventually you guys will see me having a conversation with myself. I'm cool with that. Stable, boring life, ladies and gentlemen. But this stable, boring life provides some type of education to somebody, some type of information to somebody, some type of edutainment to somebody that, hey, I did my job for the day. If I could put out a video, make some content that you guys actually respond to and have something to say, and be able to provide your own context and your own experiences and add it in, and we can create something magical on the Dr. Mike TV channel, guess what, man? That's a dub in my book. And I do it every day of the week, man. You want to know why? Because stability helps to create security down the line. And that's all I got to say, man. So, hey, ladies in the West, you better start looking for you a stable dude. Yo, if you see a dude that's got his head buried in his books, that's somebody that's probably likely to go somewhere in life. But you know what? I understand, ladies. It's not fun being with the stable dude. It's not the most entertaining being with the stable guy, right? It's just not fun. We want to have fun. Bitches, they just want to have fun. Or they get with the stable dude and they end up cheating on them. So it's kind of fucked up either way, right? But that's all I wanted to say. Stable life, man. That's why a lot of us don't get girls in the West. It is what it is, right? But everybody's entitled to have their opinions about us. But I don't think that they should question us if we choose to take our talents overseas. As a result, you can have that conversation with yourself. You can continue to talk shit as much as you want to, but I don't think you can hate on us for taking our talents overseas because we choose to be stable, we choose to provide for our futures, and we don't want some random crazy westernized chick to fuck up our finances or to fuck our lives up because she wants to have fun. We would rather find somebody that's a little bit more compatible for us, i.e. probably somebody over here, not necessarily over here. And that's all I gotta say, ladies and gentlemen, man. You can take it how you want to. You can take it how you live. But this has been a good Dr. Mike TV. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, please feel free to share, like, comment, subscribe. Also, make sure you check out the description area below. I got all of my good shit there. Patreon videos, man. Patreon is about to turn up. Anybody who's recently subscribed to the Patreon, you guys know Patreon is kind of about to turn up the heat just a little bit. And I'm doing it for you guys, all right? This is the content that the Good Doc can't post on the YouTube, so I hope you guys check me out in the Patreon comment section below. That's where you can find all that information, all right? If you love this video, you want to support in any capacity, little heart down there, drop a couple dollars on the Good Doc's book, man. Highly appreciate that one. And with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, the Good Doc is officially out. At least na go pa alam, which means I am going now. Bye-bye. As always, love you guys. Sincerely do. Mahal kita. Mabuhay. Peace.